welcome to episode 8 of my Greek mythology series. Oh, I'm so sad to see this end. The Greek mythology is something I really love talking about. I'll save the goodbyes for later. As promised, I said I would talk about the underworld, the death places, and the rivers. Surprisingly enough, some of the rivers were actually even more evil than some of the death places themselves. Let's get into it. So, when you die, so let's say you had a long, happy life and you drop dead. Goodbye, boo-hoo, funerals, the lot. Right. You then, essentially, when you die, you go to a place called Room. It's basically just the waiting room of the underworld. Before the entrance to Hades live grief, anxiety, disease, and old age. The souls that enter the underworld carry a golden coin, or a drachma, under their tongue to pay Charon, the riverman, to take them across the river. He may make exceptions or allowances for those visitors carrying a certain golden bow. Although, Charon embarks now one group, now another, some souls he keeps at a distance. These are the unburied, where they can't be taken across from bank to bank if they have not received proper burial. So, if your body goes missing, or you are presumed dead but there's no body to bury, you do not get to live peacefully in the afterlife. You are stuck in the eternal waiting room forever. Bit of a crappy outcome, if you ask me, but I'm not Hades. Then you get judged. If you're lucky enough to pass through the river Styx, you then stand in front of 3 judges. You are stood in front of Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus. Rhadamanthus was Lord of Elysium and Judge of the Men of Asia. Aeacus was the guardian of the keys of the underworld and the Judge of Men in Europe. And Minos, well, he's just the judge of the final vote. There's nothing special about him, except his stepson is the Minotaur. But after you get judged by them 3, sometimes even Hades will sit in on your judgment and give his own little input. And ultimately, his input's the one that matters because, you know, your soul's in his house, basically. But after you die and after you've been judged, there are 3 places in which you can go. The Fields of Asphodel, the Fields of Punishment, and Elysium. The Fields of Asphodel, or the Asphodel Meadows, were a place for ordinary or indifferent souls who did not commit any crimes but didn't achieve any greatness or recognition that would warrant them being admitted to Elysium. So basically, if you lived an okay life, you didn't do anything too great, you didn't do anything too bad, you get stuck in Asphodel. I mean, it's not the worst treatment you can get, but it's a meh. It's not really worth being in, to be honest. If you want to have a good afterlife, you got to do something worth getting there. So, like, celebrities will probably have a chance at Elysium. If, when you've been judged, you are deemed a bad soul or have done bad things, you get sent to the Fields of Punishment. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'll explain it anyway for those who are a bit not switched on. The Fields of Punishment. It's a place for those who have created havoc or crime on the world, specifically against the gods. Hades himself would make sure the individual's punishment is based on what they did. So, for example, let me think. For example, there was one guy in Greek mythology, he wasn't important enough to be given a name. He was very easily forgotten. But his eternal punishment was never being able to have food or water, yet he was stood under a food tree in a puddle of water. He would never be able to reach it, and that's torture, man. I can't imagine a load of like chicken breasts and Yorkshire puddings hanging above me while I was stood in a bowl of water and never been able to eat it. I think I'd go insane, to be honest. But each punishment would be suited to the crime you committed on Earth. So, I suppose theoretically, if your thing was going around stabbing people, you would continuously get stabbed. In a screwed up way, but I suppose it teaches you to treat others how you want to be treated yourself. If you're one of the very lucky few who was blessed enough to reach Elysium, you've won at life. Elysium's like paradise. It's like Ibiza or Mauritius or the Maldives. Elysium was a place for the especially distinguished. It was ruled over by Rhadamanthus, and the souls that dwell there have an easy afterlife with no labours. Generally, it was demigods and heroes who got fast-tracked to Elysium, but normal people who lived righteous and virtuous lives could also gain entrance. It's significantly harder for a mortal to gain entrance over a demigod, because, you know, demigods have preference over everything because their dad or mum is a god. Lucky people. If you wish to be reincarnated and have another go at life, you have to drink from the river Leaf. The river Leaf causes complete amnesia. It makes you forget absolutely everything. And if you're lucky, legend has it, if you're lucky enough to achieve Elysium 3 times in a row, you get sent to the Isle of the Blessed. That, like, makes Elysium look like Asphodel. It is it. You know, it's party central or relaxation central, whatever floats your boat, I guess. The Isles of the Blessed were islands in the realm of Elysium. When a soul achieved Elysium... Hang on. If the soul was lucky enough to be on the Isles of the Blessed, they would be sentenced to eternal paradise. Seems like a pretty damn good deal for me. However, with good things come bad. It's very rare that a mortal will get sent to Tartarus. Very, very, very rare. Only the sick and twisted and the utter worst of the worst of the worst would get sent to Tartarus. Like, put it this way, all the mythical monsters get sent to Tartarus. That's how bad it is. It's used as a dungeon of torment and suffering for the wicked and as a prison for the Titans. Well-known residents of Tartarus include Tantalus, Sisyphus and Ixion. It is not considered to be directly a part of the Underworld, as Tartarus owns itself. The Underworld just happens to be built upon. It's described as being as far beneath the Underworld as the Earth is beneath the sky. It is so dark that the, to quote, night is poured around it in 3 rows like a collar round the neck, while above it grow the roots of the earth and the unharvested sea. Tartarus is the place that Zeus cast the Titans along with his father Kronos after defeating them. Lovely. Right. The rivers. So, have I freaked you out enough about possibly going to Tartarus or Asphodel or the punishment field when you die? Good, imagine how the Greeks felt. Because back then, there weren't other religions to think about. It was just Greek or nothing. And if you were unlucky enough to receive a bad punishment, may God be with your soul. Now, the rivers of the Underworld. There are 6 main rivers. The River Acheron, the River Cocytus, the River Leith, the River Pyriphlegethon, the River Styx, and the Pool of Mnemosyne. The River Acheron flows from Earth into Hades. This is the entrance to Hades, and Charon rides it from here to the River Styx. If you were to bathe in this river, you would be cleansed from all the sins you committed on Earth. This is like a bonus river if you think about it, because if you're sly enough and lucky enough to dive into this without anybody knowing, you could potentially end up in Elysium. The River Cocytus. Those who drink from this river have eternal sorrow. It borders Tartarus, and those who are put into Tartarus and the River Phlegethon are to drink from this river. So basically, if you get sent to Tartarus, you got to drink a river that sounds like phlegm and be in eternal sorrow and damnation. We love that. As I mentioned earlier with Elysium, you have to drink from the River Leith. The River Leith is said to give whoever touches it complete amnesia and forgetfulness. It flows around the cave which Hypnos lives in. Many souls are required to drink from the river except those in Elysium, and if one is to be reincarnated, they must drink it from before doing so. It borders Elysium. But it's quite a pretty river to look at. Kind of want to now, I'm not going to lie. The River Pyriphlegethon is opposite the River Styx and also borders and flows into Tartarus. It is made, are you ready for this, of flames and blood. Despite being a river, this is where all of the wicked souls go after death, who aren't so evil they go to Tartarus. So that would be like all the criminals and the gang bosses and the mafia leaders of today's day and age would go to the River Pyriphlegethon. The River Styx. The River Styx is one of the 5 infernal rivers in Hades. It is the river of hatred. If one were to bathe in it, they would be invincible except in any spot that was not immersed in the river. The gods swear on it when making promises. Charon escorts dead souls to Hades and assigns them to the area they are to live in for eternity. So, if I was going to make a pinky promise to you, the gods' pinky promise would be, I swear on the River Styx that I will return your DVD to you. Boom, lightning thunder, promise is sealed. And if you don't fulfill your promise, the River Styx will claim your life. Yeah, Takes pinky promises to a whole new level, doesn't it? This is what Achilles' mother bathed him in to make him immortal. And then Apollo cheated and got him killed, but we won't call out Apollo like that. Finally, we've got the Pool of Mnemosyne. The Pool of Mnemosyne was sometimes listed as a body of water in Hades' realm. Named after the tidiness of memory, it restored all the knowledge forgotten in the Lethe, and in some versions, gave its drinker omniscience. Omniscience is basically just being like a human dictionary. So if you dipped in this, your knowledge would probably rival Athena's. Yeah, that's how powerful this river is. I hate to say it, everyone, but I think I've passed on all the knowledge I have. Oh, I know, I'm really sad as well. I will. Hopefully, you can now pass on the knowledge I've passed on to you to everyone else you interact with. I do really, really hope I've helped enlighten your perspective on Greek mythology, and I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thank you for listening to my Greek mythology series. Please share, subscribe, forward to friends, whatever you want to do. I hope you have a fabulous day and end up in Elysium when you're older. Thank you.